Okay, so I accidentally went a little over in my last video. You'll have to excuse me. I'm new to the sports blogging world here. Trying to get my format together, but so yeah, I talked a lot about the upcoming matchup. I talked about how Hudson is very good against the Nationals in his history. 235 ERA lifetime, over 200 innings pitched against them. And an excellent whip. I think it was like 1.089. So we're looking at a good shot to win this game, despite the fact that the Nationals will want this one with all of their souls, every fiber of their being, as it's said. So if we can pull this one off, I think there's a good shot we take the series if we can pull this game off. And I think it's a must-win game for the Nationals, and for us, it would just be, it's not a must-win, obviously, but given the odds we're up against, it would certainly be helpful. So let's get right to it. We'll take a look at the matchups. This is how I like to approach it in general. Taking a look at the matchups gives you a pretty good idea of who has ownage on who. I find that ownage when it comes to batter versus pitcher matchups is pretty key. So, starting with the Nationals. Well, we got Jason Worth. Scary good against Tim Hudson. 17 for 44, 4 home runs, 12 RBI. 33.86 average, 449 on base percentage, 750 slugging, 1.199 ops. I mean, these are all extremely scary numbers. If this tells me anything, it's that we need to pitch around Jason Worth at all costs. Now, I did talk about LaRoche having similarly good numbers against Peavy in the last game, and that ended up not really becoming a major factor. Peavy did hit some balls hard. He had one line drive that was caught by Blanco. That made me nervous for a moment. But, obviously these batter versus pitcher stats, they're not, they're not always going to tell you what the story is going to be, but it gives you an idea. So, in this game, I think, you'll see Bochy. Bochy knows these stats really well. I think a lot of his managing decisions are based on these stats. And if you noticed, he did not let Peavy pitch to Adam LaRoche in the last game after he had walked Jason Worth after a tough at-bat. So I think you're going to see Bochy doing a similar thing with Jason Worth and Tim Hudson, or with Tim Hudson and Jason Worth in this game. I don't think he's gonna let Jason Worth beat him. I know Bochy loves these batter versus hitter stats, so hopefully we don't come down to a situation where we have no choice but to pitch to Jason Worth. If we do, again, that's highly dangerous, and I personally will be extremely worried and wouldn't be surprised to see Hudson get pulled in that situation, especially if his pitch count is inching up past 100, as Peavy's was when they brought in a guy from the bullpen to face LaRoche. So, Jason Worth, scary good against Hudson. After that, though, it's considerably less intimidating. You got Kevin Franzen. He's a backup bench guy. I think he's still on the bench. I think he made the postseason roster. I'm not 100% sure, but he's hitting .462. Ian Desmond, again, the giant killer, as I mentioned. He has decent stats, and he is another person we have to worry about. 288 versus Hudson lifetime. A home run, 5 RBI. He's always going to be a threat in this series, and he's probably the second most feared hitter in their lineup at this point against Hudson. Ryan Zimmerman, 266. No, I think he has a home run. Zimmerman's coming off the bench. I really wonder if it's smart for the Nationals. Despite all the controversy about what Bryce Harper said earlier in the year, I think it makes sense for the Nationals to consider playing Zimmerman in left field and putting Harper in center. Denard Span is decent, but I don't know. I could see Bryce Harper leading off and potentially being just as effective as Denard Span. But whatever, I don't know the Nationals as well as the Washington fans do. So we'll say, it's just hard to imagine they have Zimmerman coming off the bench. Maybe, they could consider playing him in a game for LaRoche. I don't know how much action he's had at first, but not too scary, especially coming off the bench, hitting 266, no problem. I don't think you're going to be seeing Shearholtz pinch hit again, because he hit $1.83. Or sorry, 0.83, not even a buck. And he hurt us yesterday, but I don't see it happening today necessarily, unless it's in the later innings. Let's see, Espinosa also off the bench, 180, not so great, 185 against Hudson. Bryce Harper hits 250 against Hudson. Pretty limited sample size, 16 at-bats. But somewhat encouraging. Let's see, we've got LaRoche is only hitting 242, which is encouraging. That's in 33 at-bats, so that's some pretty significant history. And we're talking about 3 RBIs, which, over 33 at-bats is not much. So, that's good. LaRoche won't be probably as much of a factor in this game as I thought he would be in the last game. And he wasn't much of a factor in the last game either, but he was a threat. Wilson Ramos, 222. 4 for 18. That's good. Denard Span, even better, 2 for 20. Because he's 2 for 20, I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe did see Denard Span benched and Zimmerman in left field for this game. But if they do put Denard Span, that'll work out fine, because then their leadoff hitter will have a hard time getting on, and that's always a good thing. Anthony Rendon, 0 for 5. Has not yet had a hit against Hudson. Of course, that's a very small sample size, so we have no idea. And Asdrubal Cabrera, also 0 for 5. So there we go. I mean, again, we don't know. 0 for 5 doesn't tell you a lot, but better that the trend goes that way than in the direction that Worth goes. Worth, again, the biggest threat, and really the only major obvious threat in the lineup. Jose Lobaton, too. He's 2 for 3, but not really enough experience to make you too concerned. And on our side of it, well, luckily for us, there's sort of a aligning of the stars happening this game. I mean, that doesn't mean that we're going to win, but certainly the stats are looking good, given that not a lot of great hitters against Hudson, and meanwhile against Zimmerman, we have guys who've done some damage. Ishikawa, 3 for 6, an RBI. He's batting 500 and limited at-bats. Hunter Pence, 8 for 20, 2 home runs, 4 RBI, a stolen base. He's hitting 400, slugging 700, ops over 1. That's solid. Gregor Blanco, a key part of the offense, without Pagan in there. At the leadoff, 3 for 6, 2 RBI with a walk. Excellent. Not a lot of at-bats, but it's good to see that he can hit Zimmerman. Pablo Sandoval, 6 for 13. He's batting 462 with a walk. Not bad at all. Brandon Belt, 2 for 7, 2 RBI, 286. It's if he continues to hit as well as he has been hitting, then I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a hit in this game. How about Brandon Crawford? Well, Brandon Crawford, 3 for 13. So if I had to guess, I'd say we're going to see Brandon Crawford's hot streak get cut a little short today. Maybe in the late innings against some of the relievers, he'll have a shot. But 231 and 13 at-bats against Zimmerman. Not a lot, again, of at-bats, but enough to give you an idea. Funny, just as a side note, Pagan isn't playing, and he won't be playing for the rest of the year, but he was only 5 for 24 against Zimmerman, so Maybe we would have gone with Blanco anyway in this game. It's probably the only game we would have gone with Blanco over Pagan, but whatever. May as well celebrate our small victory in this one. And Susak 0 for 3, Panic 0 for 3. Not really enough. Really enough to give you an idea. Yeah, that's about it. So there you have it. That's what we got to look forward to. One thing about Blanco I wanted to mention before I sign off on this one. I want to see Blanco do more of this bunting for a base hit. Apparently the Nationals don't use the shift too often, which is the only thing I think going against us as far as Blanco getting on base on bunts. I'm amazed that more players don't practice their bunting and beat shifts with bunting, because it just seems like a no-brainer to me. You got the third baseman standing out in left field half the time, or playing the shortstop position. How are they supposed to feel the bunt? They could quickly expose the shift system if everybody just learned how to bunt properly and drag bunt. But bunting is always easier said than done. So I guess I understand it. But that the one thing I neglected to mention about Blanco yesterday was that bunt for a base hit was very encouraging. I always like to see Blanco try to use his speed to get on base, and I wouldn't, as long as the third baseman is playing back closer to the grass, I would not mind seeing Blanco try that again, or do his little half swing bunt thing that he sometimes does. Anything to get on base, doesn't matter. I wouldn't mind seeing him try to get bunt for base hits when there's already a runner on first, because hey, at least he'll move the runner up. So Blanco, keep up the bunting for base hits. I've seen a lot of great players. Brett Butler used to be one of the best in bunting for a base hit, and it can be a very effective play if you learn how to execute your bunts properly. So that's it for tomorrow. This is we got a shot. We got a real shot at this game, and we take tomorrow's game. There's a good shot we win the series. So, we're talking about a very high percentage chances of winning the series, and to think about coming home to Giants AT&T Park with Bumgarner on the mound for Game 3, that is certainly an exciting prospect. If we managed to sweep the Nationals, it would shock the world. It would be one of the more shocking baseball results in playoff history, I'd say. But of course, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's absolutely no guarantee whatsoever. There's not even a likelihood, I'd say. The chances of them, I think they put the chances of them sweeping the Nationals, I saw, at 11%. I forget, it was something on MLB Network. They were saying 11%. So very unlikely that we are going to pull off the sweep, but certainly you'd like our chances going forward if we could. I almost be afraid that they'd get they'd swept, that they would have too much time to mull it over. But then again, we have so many old guys on our team that need rest. The 3-game sweep probably wouldn't hurt too much. Again, 11%, not great chances of that happening. But I think the real thing we're going to see tomorrow, we're going to see whether Hudson can back up his blank talking. His S talking, because he's definitely laid down the gauntlet for himself and for Nationals hitters, and hopefully it gets into their heads and they try too hard. But we'll see. It could either backfire or it could be a moment of genius on his part. A great strategical play. So we'll see, but I'm much more optimistic today than I was yesterday, let's say that. And if we lose, well, let's try not to make it a blowout, because if we get blown out, the momentum shifts. And that could get ugly. And it could easily be a blowout tomorrow, despite Hudson's great numbers versus the Nationals historically. He is having a hip problem. We don't know how great he feels or how close to 100% he is now. So If Hudson really blows it and the bullpen blows it, again, our confidence will take a huge hit, and that is not what we need. So, if we win, great. If we lose, let's keep it close, because I don't think we can stomach a huge blowout. That's gonna make it real difficult to move forward with any kind of confidence. All right, go Giants. Game 2. It's the best time of the year. Postseason. Gotta love it.